Balancing the cortices. Yeah, we're still on recording, so that's good. So basically, it helps people get out of the foggy brain. It helps people, say, if you were in a tense of learning something and you just are at that point where you can't absorb anymore and it just feels like you hit a wall. This helps rebalance that. This helps shock, if you had some sort of shocking news or something, even an accident happened. It's a way to snap your brain out of shock. I do believe it's going to help with triggers and just resetting that brain. Like you say, if you have an incident or an experience where all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it throws you right back into a feeling from a past experience, and all of those emotions, whatever it is, anxiety, sadness, anger, whatever it is, arise, then this is a way to just reset the brain, because it's almost like a misfiring in your neurons in your brain when triggers happen, where it's just not able to go back into a normal pattern, and so we get stuck in there a little bit.
And it happens all the time, and it can happen pretty easily. Just when you've gone through trauma, the simplest thing can trigger you and set you off. And I know with a lot of my clients, it's really hard for them to get back. We have to use trauma-informed practices, because just showing up and being a certain way, even looking at somebody a certain way, can trigger them and set them back quite a bit. And they have a hard time getting back from that.
Yeah. Thank you for putting that in. Yes, definitely. So I've learned this one through Body Talk, and it's called Balancing Your Cortices, which is balancing, and we start at the back of the brain and we just work our way all the way up to the top, and then we balance both sides. And while we're doing that, we're doing some breath work, and we're tapping on the top of the head, and we're tapping on the thymus, which is the higher heart, which is like we talked about in our shows. Sometimes I talk about the heart and the electromagneticness of the heart. So this is sort of what they would call the higher heart, so the smart body heart. So when we tap on that, so we're rebalancing this and this, and then as well as the brain. So
because that's part of our brain as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like our secondary brain, which is actually more so even our first brain, because it gets the message, like I talked about in one of our shows, like 3 seconds before something happens, our heart is already knows is going to happen and sending the messages out to the body. So it is a huge impact on, especially like we just talked about, reactions and that. So your heart's already going to be going as that trigger already happened, or that shock, or whatever it is. So yeah, so we're including that as well as the brain in this for the reset. So if everybody wants to do this with Chris and I, let me just fix my thing so I can sit up straight here. And let's just do shutting our eyes and just giving ourselves just one nice deep breath in, and just letting out just everything, just so that we can do this practice with a clear space. And we're going to start out with, and whatever's comfortable for you, I'm using my non-dominant hand on the back of my head, because we're going to start out at the base of the skull, where the skull connects to the neck. And that's really where that central nervous system starts. And we just have our hand there, and we're going to start tapping on the top of our head. And we're going to just do some nice deep breaths as we're tapping on the top of our head. And we're going to do a couple breaths in here. One more. Then we're going to switch it to the heart, the higher heart, the thymus. We're just going to do a couple breaths there. Back to the top of the head. Another nice deep breath in and out. One last one on the higher heart. Now we're going to move our hand up, and I'll just turn my chair so you can kind of see where my hand ended off here. We're going to move it exactly one hand above that. Placing the hand there, nice on the more of the upper part of our back of our skull. And we're going to tap on the top of our head again, giving ourselves some nice deep breaths here. Now we're going to do it on the heart again. Just notice anything you notice. Maybe you're able to take a little bit of a deeper breath in. Maybe you just feel like you're able to just let go with your thoughts a little bit more. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, just noticing. I'm going to bring it back up now to the top of the head again. And back down to the heart, higher heart. One last time. Now this time we're going up. See how I have my hand there? So where it left off there, we're going to put our hand right above that. And now we're just going to tap again on the top of our head. Again, some nice breaths. I'm starting to feel just that relaxation a bit more in the body now. Easier to take a breath. I'm going to bring it down to our higher heart. It's tapping on there. Back up to the top of our head. One last time down to the higher heart. Now this time, left off there, so we're going to just bring that hand and the thumb where it left off and the rest of it right on top. Now you either can tap just behind your hand, or depending on where you're at, if you're at right on your hand, just you can tap on your hand. Just again, giving yourself those nice breaths. I'm going to bring it down to the heart again. I know you can do this for somebody else as well. If they're in shock, then you can just do these hand positions and tap on their head and their heart and just asking them to breathe as you're doing it. Especially if you have somebody that's in shock or in any way not being able to do it for themselves. Maybe something that's compromised about them. One last time on the higher heart again here, just tapping it out. Now this time, I'm going to move my hair a bit. We're going to cover the forehead, right across your eyebrows. Take my glasses off for this. Just kind of almost eye level, depending on where your hand's at. I don't know how big the hand is, but anyway, this is our intent of just covering that frontal part of the brain. Now the back of the brain, as we're tapping this, I just want to bring in is sort of called the reptilian part of the brain, and that's our fight or flight. But this front part of our brain is our intuition. It's our, what they would call our third eye. It's connected to the pineal gland. It's where our clear thinking comes from. Our spirituality, in a way, our wisdom. So when we're tapping this out, we're just connecting to that piece of us that is connected to so much more, infinite wisdom. Talked about that energetic field that surrounds us, that has all the information, all the connection, the entanglement. Knowing that we're connecting to this part of our brain and tapping that out. Back to the top of the head there. And then one more time on the heart. You can switch arms if your arm's tired. No problem there. It doesn't have to be any rocket science to it here. Now we're done that one. Now the next part is bringing in the sides of our head. And we can do one side at a time. When you feel comfortable as you move forward doing this, you can just hold the intent that both your hands are on the side of your head and you're tapping. But for purposes for beginners, I think it's better if we just hold one side and we tap, connecting to the left side of the brain here, which is the feminine part, that intuition. Receiving, receptivity. We're going to bring our hand down and tap the heart again. Nice breaths in there. Don't forget to breathe. Bringing it back up to the top again, the head. Tapping that out. And one last time on the higher heart here with the left side. Just giving that one nice little breath in there. We're going to switch it out to the right, holding the right side of your head. Nice. And you know, you want to bring it back so you're covering the edge of the back and above your ear so that you got that whole piece. And we're going to just tap this side out now. This is our analytical side, our masculine side that gets her done. Just tapping that out to balance it. The feminine side, the receptivity. So we have the action side and the receptive side. Tapping it on the heart now. One last cycle through on the top of the head, remembering to give yourself a couple breaths. One last time on the higher heart here. Now I just want you to drop your arms down and just let everything settle. Feeling that reset. All right. How do you feel? How did that feel for you, Chris?
Good. My arm got tired.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's okay to switch it, right? Like it is a bit of a process.
That's what I was wondering. Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no hard, fast rules to it. Your arm's tired. You can put it down. Like I said, you can even hold that intent of holding both your hands are on one side and you're tapping it out, but you're connecting both sides. That way is all right too. But the beginning, I kind of like to separate it because really you're connecting to the left side of the brain and then you're connecting to the right, and they are two different hemispheres. But yeah. So that's balancing your cortices, and that's going to help on people that even if they're on a break at work, or maybe they have a second job, or I know my daughter, she does a night shift, and having to drive home after a night shift and be alert. This is a great practice to just balance your brain and be able to be alert for driving or for whatever you need, as well as, like I said, the triggers and calming that nervous system down. I feel like a nap.
relaxed. I feel nice and relaxed. My gut's relaxed. My brain's relaxed.
Yeah. So that's a simple, easy thing to do, and and you can do for others. So,
And
any
when
questions?
you talk, I do. So when you talk about the thalamus as being the heart, and so isn't part of our brain like the hypothalamus as well?
Yeah,
Isn't,
it has. I think that's the back part of the brain there.
so,
Yeah.
right. So is that part of the tapping, connecting? Is that what?
Well,
I was just curious if that's a connection.
the thymus is, and there's the hypothalamus. So you're right. They are two glands. And because I'm not sure, I would have to probably do a little bit of research into this to be able to give you a well-educated answer on it, so that I make sure that I'm not misdirecting anybody. But the one thing I do know is the thymus is the higher heart. It's the energetic heart, more so than just the beating, the physical heart of us. It's the energetic heart. And I read up about it and it was actually really interesting. The thymus is at its full full capacity, full functioning at about 18 years old. And and I think it's also part of maybe balancing hormones, but as we get older in life, it actually shrivels down to nothing. It's not even really, it's like a plum. It's all shrunk up and not really doing anything. But energetically, it's doing a lot for the body, because like we mentioned, the body is pure energy. And so it is a big part of the energetic makeup of our body is the thymus. But I was quite surprised when I read about it, and I was like, what? It like shrivels down and basically to nothing. And
Wow.
It was quite interesting. So
Very interesting.
Yeah. So that's it. Any other thing that comes up? Perfect. Yeah.
I think this is something that everybody can do, like you said, if you're at work and you're stressed, or even before you go in to your house and your family after a long day at work or doing what you're doing.
Yeah, actually, that's a great idea. It's being able to reset from the day and not bring your day home to your family. That's hugely important. So yeah, that's a great tool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I hope everybody enjoyed that one, and more coming. We got lots of little tips and tools we're going to share with all of you, so that you can visit here and get some ideas of how to work through your day and bring yourself back to balance. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
And tips that everybody can share with their family and friends too.
Yeah.
The more we all come together and get balanced, the happier this place is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.